He needs to get it done. There's not going to be a better season for him to do it.
Go on, Garrett. Go and get your record, mate.
You're looking at two teams who just score points.
This has playoffs written all over it.
It's done. It's see you later for them boys.
If I was Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs, I'd be pretty worried. Welcome back to the Early Hours podcast. Guys, when you think about all-time greats in the NFL, who comes to mind? For me, Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers, Joe Montana, look, they're all good options. But after that Monday night performance, James P. Sullivan, I think he's taking the cake with my vote.
A well-earned extension as well, I read on Twitter.
Very true.
So what a baller. What a baller. But did poor Mike get waived? He did, didn't he?
Mike got waived, and look, it wasn't a bad performance, but when you compare it to Sully, I think he got like 3 interceptions, a couple of sacks, a couple of touchdowns. Mike did run quite a few good routes, and he actually got more receptions than Lad McConkey on Monday. But yeah, look, it's a cutthroat game, but hats off to Sully. We called it. Don't say that we don't have any good tips on this podcast. But let's go on to Monday Night Football. The Chargers 22, Eagles 19. This one going to overtime. Guys, we were just 1 point away from this being a 23-19.
Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. It was first of all, the Chargers caught on that straight away. Their social media is still goated. They were all over it. But it was a mixed bag, wasn't it, really? I think the headline is disaster class from Jalen Hurts, really, which we know he's susceptible to. The guy is in and out of top 10 QB rankings 24/7, and he's firmly took himself out of the conversation, I think, after that performance.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking about a very poor Justin Fields with weapons here, aren't we? I mean, it was terrible. And, when's the last time you saw a quarterback with 2 turnovers on one play? I've never seen it. I'm not sure it's ever happened. To throw a pick, to then get it back, you think, wow, fair play to him. And then to fumble it again, just an absolute disaster class. Because, to be fair to the Eagles, Saquon Barkley couldn't do any more, 122 yards. A.J. Brown with 100 yards. So, Jalen Hurts had his moments, but just crumbled under pressure. And then, kind of like what I said on Monday, went to overtime, and the Chargers probably just wanted and needed it a little bit more. And we could have been looking at the Eagles out of the playoffs, which I'd have loved. I think a lot of people would have done. But yeah, let's just hope that they don't find form in the next couple of weeks, because you can just see them storming back in the playoffs. But the Chargers, fair play to them, they controlled the ball pretty well. Herbert did a decent job on the ground as well, so a well-deserved win for the Chargers, who moved to 9-4 and who are a real issue over in the AFC.
Yeah, and also with that loss, it really does open the door for the Cowboys. If you look at it mathematically, obviously, look, we talk about divisions all the time, records, and making sure that your divisional opponents are the ones that you have to beat first. Cowboys sticking a win over the Eagles. Eagles also dropping one to the Giants earlier in the season. Could that play out in favour of a Cowboys team that were beaten up by the Lions last week, but could absolutely sneak back in?
Yeah, definitely. This is when those bogey games come back to haunt you. Let's look towards the Sunday slate now in Week 15. We've got a massive game here. It's the Bills at the Patriots. The Patriots having a better record of the two of them. They're 11-2, but can the Bills clinch this?
Well, they need to. The Bills need this more than the Patriots, it's fair to say, and it's not a headline that we've read in recent years. Certainly not since the Brady era, but look, a legacy rivalry. It's one that has never really faded in the NFL from the Brady days, and now the dominance that we've seen from Allen in recent years. And it always feels like one of those games that should be flexed to like a real primetime spot, in my opinion, just because the Patriots bring that headline name and the Bills are just so dynamic with Allen. But you've got to go with the Patriots, haven't you? How can you bet against them in this season? But then you look at the team.
You're betting against the current league MVP.
You are, but you look, could Drake maybe be a successor?
Give it a rest.
Could he? He could be. He's absolutely in the race. It's arguably between him and Stafford, and I'm gonna get shots fired and expressions on Matthew Smell's face here, but Jordan Love is very firmly sneaking into that conversation at 3, and he can't deny it. Sorry, going off topic, but yeah, I'm gonna still have to go with the Patriots. But you look at the teams they've played this season, and this could be a team that falters them.
Yeah, and look, I'm not going to rise to the bait there. We'll just gloss over that
one.
No
bait, it's facts.
Do you know what? Obviously, this is the game that I'm looking forward to the most this season. Drake May, 23 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, much more impressive than Josh Allen this season, actually. And obviously, we're all big Josh Allen fans here. Like Oliver said, I think you look at the Patriots sort of like schedule, who they've beat, it's not quite as impressive, but the Bills have faltered once or twice this season. You know, they sit on 9-4, and you simply can't deny an 11-2 team. It doesn't matter who they play. Every game's tough in the NFL, and they've just kind of got through it, and Drake May really has been the leading force of that. I think if the Patriots can beat the Bills, what a statement of intent, and they really cement themselves probably as the favourites this year over the Broncos. So I think that's super exciting. If the Bills can win, they go 10-4, and suddenly, we spoke about it on Monday, they're in a real shot for the first seed, and I think this is the season where Josh Allen needs to get it done. We're talking no Bengals, no Chiefs, probably no Ravens. So if you look at the all-round of it, he's probably the best quarterback in the playoffs this year. He needs to get it done. There's not going to be a better season for him to do it. If they can't win it this year, it's very early in his career, but can we see Josh Allen ringless for his career if they can't do it this season?
It is absolutely his best chance. It is 100% his best chance. Like you said, no Mahomes, no Joe Burrow. What I love about this is where it leaves the playoff standings. Now, granted, we're a few weeks out from cementing everything, but we've got to start looking at those percentages and those chances of opponents that you could come across. This is the NFL. It's a game of inches. It's all stat-based. I love where it leaves the matchup if the Bills lose, this weekend. They would face Aaron Rodgers and the Steelers in an early wildcard round, and that would just be unreal. I think that's got fireworks written all over it. And who walks out with the win? We'll obviously preview that in weeks to come, I'm sure.
It's great. We've seen for years Josh Allen getting knocked out by, one great in Patrick Mahomes for years and years. And imagine he just comes up against Aaron Rodgers in the next one and you think, I can't get away from these greatest of all times, man. Just keep knocking me out.
Exactly. You've summed it up perfectly, my friend.
Elsewhere on Sunday, we've got the Ravens at the Bengals. This is a Thanksgiving rematch. Last time out, the Bengals came away with 32-14 dub. There's no turkey on the line this time, but look, a do-or-die game for either side.
This game always brings playoff level tensions. It always brings, animosity. They're two sides that simply put don't like each other. And I think really, I know we're making this, it's almost become a Steelers show, but the Steelers going to have a real close eye on this. I think if the Bengals can pull out a win over the Ravens, it's all but done in the AFC North for the Steelers. But yeah, simply put, no stats, just straight up AFC North, gritty football. Both teams are going to be coming at this left, right and centre, and you've got one that stands in the pocket and you've got one that likes to go mobile. I think this could be a really exciting matchup. I think it was on Thanksgiving, to be fair.
I think it's the Bengals for me, though.
I've got the Bengals. Just
Wow.
want to know, though, T. Higgins is back in the concussion protocol, which is not ideal, so a lot of eyes are on
The
them.
Giuseppe show, isn't it?
Yeah, it's got to be someone's show. It wasn't Jamar Chase last week, but, I mean, obviously, the Bengals are out, but, Jamar Chase and the boys, and Joe Burrow especially, what would he love to do? Knock Lamar Jackson out of them playoffs, because if the Ravens lose, it's done. It's see you later for them boys.
And speaking of playoffs, I do need Joe Burrow to keep my playoff hopes alive. T. Higgins having a blow was not on my bingo list. So, yeah, fingers crossed for that one. Like I say, I'm back in the Bengals. Another rematch, though, of note this weekend. We've got the Chargers at the Chiefs. This one was a Week 1 rematch. They played in Sao Paulo. That actually seems ages away when you think about it. But, yeah, the Chargers beat the Chiefs 27-21 that time. Cast your mind all the way back to when the Chiefs lost their first game of the season. Was the writing on the wall for them?
I think we watched them through pre-season and we kind of said, they've lost X amount of games in a row. Pre-season doesn't matter. And then they go and get beat by the Chargers. And, Goody, you could tell us how long does it feel ago since Brazil? I mean, for us, it doesn't feel that long, but you've lived the dream since then, haven't you?
Ages, especially with 2 episodes a week. It's been a long season.
But yeah, I think, the Chiefs haven't looked good this season. The turnover differential is -1 for them, which we're just not used to seeing, with obviously Mahomes generally looking after the ball pretty well, and it's just not been good this season. They've kept possession, they've kind of ground games down, but just haven't been able to get over the line. And I think the stars have turned up. It's just that squad depth. Maybe they're getting a little bit older. Like we said on Monday, is the dynasty over? Is it coming to an end? But I don't think the Chargers are all that when it comes down to it. So I think this week the Chiefs could say, hang on a minute, we are still the Chiefs. We need to get the win here. But yeah, if the Chargers win, they go 10-4. And are the Chiefs already on the beach? It's a tough one to call for me.
The Chargers as well, they've just beat the Eagles. You can't knock that. If I was Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs, I'd be pretty worried.
You've got to look at it simply put. The Chargers this season have been a better team than the Chiefs. They snapped a 7-game losing streak to the Chiefs in Brazil. Herbert had a monumental evening to open the season. He went 25 of 34. He threw for 300 plus yards, 3 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. He is clinical with Harbour at coach. And look, they're not a team that are going to drive, have these long, extensive drives down the field and go for it onto. They're just not. They're a settle for 3 kind of team. So that screams efficiency. I think against a lackluster team like the Chiefs this season, they'll probably do this a similar thing on Sunday, and we'll see that play out a similar result. And I think, simply put, it is the end of a dynasty, and it's probably one final nail in the coffin for the Chiefs this season.
We've got the Browns at the Bears, a bounce-back win needed for Chicago, but Myles Garrett, he's still on the hunt for that all-time season sack record. And then, look, we've got the Lions at the Rams. The Rams 10-3, they're going into this against a Detroit side, practically fighting for that wild card spot with their 8-5 record.
This is, God, we're really getting to that crunch time now, and we sound like we're repeating ourselves, but it's do or die for so many teams. I did want to quickly mention, just because when do I not love a jab at the Chicago Bears, the Browns are actually 5-0 in last meetings that they've played at Soldier Field. So that's over quite an extensive period. Granted, there's not that many meetings at Soldier Field between the 2 teams, but go on the Browns, go on Garrett, go and get your record, mate, please. As for the Rams and the Lions,
tough game.
Toss of a coin for me. Toss of a coin. I'm actually going to go the Rams hit a little stumble block and the Lions keep up their momentum. I actually have the Lions to finish second in the division. In the NFC North. I'm just not sure which bugger comes out on top based on our remaining run between us and the Bears, which doesn't bode well for our playoff hopes if that's the case. But I'm going to go Lions.
It's a tough run for all you guys in the NFC North, actually. Compared to what we've got in the West, I think it's tougher than all 3 of ours. So the Lions probably need to win this one. It's very easy for one of the Packers, Lions, and Bears to potentially slip out with how tough your schedule is, to be fair. But you're looking at 2 teams who just score points. The Lions are first, and I think the Rams are 4th in how many points scored per game, both top in yards per game. It's going to be, for me, quite a high-scoring game, an exciting game. And both teams coming into it not too unhealthy. The Lions maybe with 1 or 2 more injuries than the Rams, but it's going to be an absolute cracker. I can't wait for it. And this will have such huge implications on the playoffs. If the Rams lose, then that 1 seed, it's going to wave bye-bye. That's the same for all the teams up there at the minute. It's that close.
It always, just the final thing, it always seems to have an extra bit of mustard in this one because of the bragging rights of a trade that seems to be revisited so regularly and so frequently. Who won that trade? I think it always adds fuel to the fire if Goff beats Stafford, if Stafford beats Goff. So fireworks, keep your eyes on it. I think it's going to be a fun one on Sunday.
Yeah, but the Rams obviously won that trade. They won the Super Bowl after that trade.
Correct.
So
that's the only answer,
that
it's still up for debate.
But speaking of who wins this matchup, I think it's the Lions. Like you say, Matt Stafford, he's on a career season. I don't know if he can keep it up week in, week out. It only takes a bogey game like the Panthers, where he doubled his interception record, for it to all fall apart. So, more on the line for the Lions than it is the Rams. Give me the Lions for this one. And sticking with the NFC West, the Seahawks, they're at the Colts this week. A 44-year-old Philip Rivers, he's back in Indy. I bet a few fans there were buzzing they could just dust off an old jersey as opposed to having to buy a completely new one for a quarterback. And then, look, rounding out the Sunday slate, Packers at the Broncos, the 11-2 Broncos, the most fraudulent team in the league this season. But if they play anything like they did when we saw them in London, this is going to be an easy win for the Packers, and they should go 10-3-1.
I bet Aaron Rodgers can't believe his luck. The whole storyline of dragging a team through to the playoffs as the oldest QB in the league, and then Philip Rivers decides to show up and save the Colts.
I saw a tweet this morning, actually. It was like, your childhood is not over yet. Aaron Rodgers, he's like balling out. And Philip Rivers, he's back in contention. You're like, what is going on?
Do you know, quickly on that, I'm surprised the Colts didn't inquire about Joe Flacco. I really am, because I think he could have really. I think he's obviously, it's over at the Bengals, stating the obvious with Joe back, and I think he could have been a real sort of addition for them on the run. Moving back over to the Packers, though, statistically, it does favour the Packers. They've won 5 of their last 6 meetings when they've played in Denver, and I think this has playoffs written all over it. This potentially has and I might be out on a limb, Super Bowl preview written all over it. Who knows? Who knows? I'm going to go with the Packers. And that's not my heart speaking. I am trying to keep sensible up here and use my head. But I just think there's options for us to pick them apart. I think that some of the play calling, some of the pre-snap play by Jordan Love this week, in the week just gone, was just phenomenal. He's at the top of his game. Toyotathon is real. It exists. And I think it could be one of the toughest tests for Bo Nix and co this weekend.
Yeah, the only thing I would add to that is just very quickly, we say how good the Packers have been sort of attacking quarterbacks with Gary and Parsons and co. They've had 33 sacks this season. The Broncos have had 55. That is an incredible stat. Now, generally, we've actually said Jordan Love under pressure, maybe not the best, but last week he was fantastic against the blitz against the Bears. Absolutely fantastic. So can the Broncos disturb him? Can they get him off rhythm? I think that's how the Broncos can win it. Or, we know what they do. They grind down a game and they get over the line. But I've got the Packers this week as well. But don't be surprised to see a close game.
A clean sweep of Packers supporters then on this podcast. Give me the Packers all day long. The Broncos, they've not looked too convincing. They've had a couple of close shaves this season. I mean, the Packers have as well. But I think if we win this game, we go up to like a 96% chance of getting to the playoffs. So definitely a must-win game for us there, just for that peace of mind. And then tonight, guys, some Thursday night football. We've got the Falcons at the Bucks. An important game here for Tampa Bay to extend their lead at the top of the NFC South.
It's huge, isn't it? You look at two teams here. The Buccaneers, they've won one of the last 4, and the Falcons have won one of the last 8. So It really is all to play for. Honestly, the Falcons look like they've lost everything. BJ Robinson not kind of getting in the swing of things. Penix looks pretty poor. And the Buccaneers obviously just struggling with injury. And obviously we watched them play the Rams, and they've just looked like that in the last couple of games. And honestly, this game, if the Falcons can win, leaves it wide open for the Panthers. Obviously, they've got the Saints, who the Buccaneers lost to last week, and not being funny, if you lose to the Saints, then you're in all sorts of trouble. So, yeah, it's a big game. Both teams, I think, on the ropes a little bit, but it's all to play for in that division, and somehow you get a 3 or 4 seed if you win the division, and it's all to play for. We need to see BJ Robinson getting more action, and the Buccaneers just need to get back to their best, because if they're the best, then they're the best in that division by a mile, but we haven't seen it for quite some time, so it's all to play for.
Nothing screams prime time like this game, right? That you teed it up so well. No, I'm joking, obviously. But from a UK perspective and an international fan, I guess, it's actually quite a relief to see that they're slotting this one at 1:20 in the morning that nobody's going to watch from a UK standpoint and stuff. So yeah, get rid of it if you ask me. I think quickly, it is obviously a historic rivalry in the division. Granted, it's not the biggest rivalry in that division, but all-time series, it's actually tied 32-32, so it really is a toss of a coin. I think the difference is that the Bucks have obviously come out on top, 7-4 in their last 11, so you'd have to go with the Bucks despite the run of form, unless Bijan goes nuclear.
Yeah, give me the Bucks for this one as well. I was actually unaware the Falcons only won 1 of their last 8. That was like a Titans-esque record. I think if they lose this one, Raheem Morris could go bye-bye. But then you say that, you get to this point of the season where teams like that, they just want to go out and upset someone, upset the playoffs. So don't be surprised if the Falcons sneak this just out of spite for the Bucks. But yeah, we will cover these games and how that affects the playoff picture on Monday's episode. Things are heating up in the NFL. Let us know who you've got in the comments, and we will catch you next week.